On October 28, 2020, Pastor Karl Keller had open heart surgery to repair a torn valve. In the days following his surgery, Pastor Karl began to experience complications. On November the 30th, 2020, at an online meeting of Walnut Grove Lutheran Church's care team, Pastor Karl shared his account of the miraculous healing he experienced. It was a holy moment, and we want to share it with you in order to glorify and give thanks to God for what he has done. The first few moments of what Pastor Karl said were not recorded. Prior to the start of the recording, Pastor Karl was talking about how ill he was and how his breathing was slowing down.
And it just felt like my life was ebbing away, and it was soon going to ebb out. And I said to the Lord, I'm ready to come home. And I had such a horrible feeling in the first place that I thought, boy, it'd be worth to get out of this world anyway and be with the Lord, because I sure don't want to enjoy living the way I feel right now. But also the liquid that was on my lungs is what seemed to cause me to breathe slower and slower. And I thought, pretty soon I won't be here anymore. I'll go home with the Lord. And as I said, I told him I was ready to come. But I thought, there's a lady that I had met at the Chinese, when I preached at Chinese church. And ever since I've had my heart problems, if I do get some pain, I'd always call this lady, because she's what I call a real prayer warrior. And she would pray, and my pain would always go away. So I thought, as a last resort, I'm going to give her a call and see if she might pray. And I had just introduced her to Daniel Kibarito, and many of you know Daniel, who was a member of our church before they moved to Alberta and then came back to Abbotsford. And the two of them happened to be talking as I called. And when I shared my plight and that I was slowly ebbing away, Daniel broke loose in prayer. And I mean broke loose. I have never heard anybody pray so fervently, either for me or anybody else. And he had the pedal to the metal. Was he ever going? And as I listened to him, I wanted to yell, Daniel, because he was scolding God, it seemed to me, and chewing him out about some things that, Pastor Keller has worked for you all this time. Why in the world aren't you sending some angels to look after him? And he's got so much work that has to be done in Africa. Why are you not providing for him? And I wanted to say, Daniel, do you know who you're talking to? It's the Lord Almighty, but there wasn't a chance of getting a word in edgewise. And then he went on, he said, Peter, he was in prison. And then the guards just move away. He walked out of prison. You send angels. If you send angels to Peter, why can't you tell him Pastor Keller? And Paul had the same. The chains fall off. And he went on like this. And then for 10 solid minutes. And then he stopped. And then the Chinese lady prayed. Totally opposite from Daniel. So gentle, so sweet, so kind. And when she finished, I felt like that came from the ceiling of my hospital bed, a warm blanket that just fall over me. There was no blanket, but I just felt this warmth, and I mean warmth, that came down and just surrounded me. And all of a sudden, that horrible feeling I had was gone. I could breathe as I am right now. And I don't know what happened to the water that was on my lungs or challenging for breathing. But it wasn't there. And the hospital had told me that because of the surgery, I would not be able to control my emotions. And of course, I always think I have to be in control of them, but as I lay there, I all of a sudden started to cry. And I lay on my back. And the water just washed down over the sides of my face and then into my pillow. And all of a sudden I stopped then too. But I totally felt refreshed. And I knew I had a miracle happen. This was so different from when I was so sure that within moments my life would be over because I was breathing slower and slower. And it would soon be done. And now I feel like I did now. That's only what it tells me, the incredible power of prayer, the incredible God that we have who cares for us in such a special way, because he did send those angels of Paul and Peter. They're still around, I guess, because they rescued me. And that's my story for tonight. Some people at church who pray. Oh my goodness, without that war chest, can I say, behind me, and I mean a war chest, I would have been in more difficulty. And so I just know the people, how could I, say thank you to them? It's nothing to say thank you. That's not enough to say for what they have done for me at one of the probably most difficult, challenging times of my life. And so I often have thought, how do you say thank you to all who pray so much for me? I'm just so grateful and so thankful. And I finally was able to then come out, and I can do okay. I can look after myself. And the people have sent so much food. I had to say no more food, or I would have been able to feed an army here. And the people have been so gracious, so gracious. And so I feel now it's just going to be time. It's going to take time especially to catch my breath. That's the hardest part. At least the hardest part for me. But I can look after myself, and the Lord has given me that much strength to do that. Just go slower. And I don't quite always know how to do that.